Hi, this is Linda with Overbrick Quilt Connection. This is day 31 of the Stitch Pink project, and as you can tell, our quilt is done. I think it's turned out so pretty. I'm really pleased with it. I wanted to give you some tips though when you are sewing your blocks together. I hear a lot of people talk about they've cut off their points in various places. I get that in lots of classes that I do, and one of the things that is the most common to make that happen is the seam allowance at the very end of the seam. One of the easiest things to do when you're sewing is to kind of move away a little bit as you're starting and ending a seam. So sometimes your seam allowance isn't consistent for those few stitches at the beginning and ending of a seam. So if you've got some places where you know that you don't have that 1/4 inch seam allowance, look at, when you join your blocks, you don't have that 1/4 inch remaining, then take a look at your seam allowance in those areas. You may need to go back and just put a few more stitches in there to make that a true 1/4 inch, and then that will magically make your next seam allowance work. Also, make sure your blocks are pretty consistent in size. You can stretch or ease in if you're under a 1/4 inch. If you get into larger amounts like that, it's really hard to make it work to where you're happy with the results, so it doesn't look all stretched or all puckery. So take a look at those kinds of things and see if there's something you need to square up, or see if there's something that you need to put a border on because it's way smaller than the rest of your blocks or something like that. But once you're happy with how they are, then this pattern just the blocks all just go together. There's no sashing or anything between them other than the little bits of sashing that we did on some of the blocks at the time of construction. When you put your rows together, alternate how you press your seam allowances so that at least those seams nest. But there are places where you will have some nesting between blocks. And when that happens, like for instance, here is one, the seams actually nest there. Sometimes, by the way we've pressed them, sometimes they will actually nest. Sometimes they'll be on top of each other and you'll have to deal with that. But for the most part, everything fit together really well. There is a 2.5 inch border around the whole quilt, and of course, that's easy to do. And it took eight strips to make the border, so just make sure you have at least 20 inches of background left for that. The binding they suggest to be a pink. We did not include that in our kit because we didn't really know what the setting was going to be or how the project was going to finish up. So you'll need to choose a pink or a red or whatever fabric you want to use for your binding. I hope you guys are all equally happy with the results of your quilts, and I hope that you'll share them with us on Facebook or bring them into the shop and let us see them, email them to us. And if you like what we've done with our videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you'll be notified when more videos come out. So thank you all very much. We appreciate your time in doing this project, and we hope you'll do more projects with us. Thanks.